rest, reformulate, and go. I had made a post about reformulating, which is just redirection. Reformulating is simply redirection or the act of creating another path, another way, and how important that is for us all. Because to reformulate, and especially to rest and reformulate, what's up, Mag, means to truly take a moment, assess where you're at, and maybe map out a new route. And I'm there. So I will speak about what I hello, George, and thank you. I am quite beautiful. I claim that. I said that on my walking affirmations, which I posted today. And let me share, I was like, why would I post this? And I share all these things because transparency is exceptional, and that may be helpful. Someone may watch that and on their next walk do their own affirmations. Thank you. And I do that on my walks. I used to do it with headphones so I wouldn't look crazy, but now I don't care. Because I'm like, I am amazing. Today is my day. I am cool, confident, relaxed, and ready for the day. And if someone's like, what is she doing? Then they're like, what is she doing? But someone may just hear what I'm saying and say like, yo, I'm going to do that. So I'm out of the closet with my morning affirmations. I speak them with intention. I don't whisper them. I say them pretty loud, especially if I'm with the dogs. I say them with power. And it's a part of that reformulation. I've said for the longest, I had a morning routine, which has changed. I used to immediately journal right when I woke up, like it was for years, at least 4, 5, 6 years. And then I kind of woke up like, I'm doing something different. Like I can journal when I come back, but now what I would journal, those affirmations, I say out loud. And I'm intentional about my mornings. I am not one to, I guess they call it bed rot. I immediately, once I'm up, I get out of bed. I peel open the curtains. I immediately, actually, right when I wake up, okay, I'm going to tell you a secret. My mornings now, I wake up, I like to do a pre-wake up. So I wake up, I go and I take my cap full of apple cider vinegar and a little water and I shoot it before brushing my teeth, like on an empty stomach. Then I'll go back into my room and kind of visualize the day. Immediately go floss, brush my teeth, say I love you, start saying affirmations in the mirror, but it's all pretty quick. And I'm sharing this because the longer you stay in bed, it doesn't do anything. So if you wake up and you just lay there, you're not actually resting. You're not actually in movement. It's kind of like a pause. So I make it a point when I wake up to go. Because if you lay there, then the thoughts may magnify that aren't encouraging. So wake up, floss, scrape my tongue, brush my teeth, immediately put on some workout clothes and get into the sun. There is, hello, Awakening Radiance. There is a study about the effects of sun immediately after you wake up. So when you wake up, get some sun on your skin, get some sun in your eyes, just get sun. And you vampires that your house, all of the blinds stay closed, open them. Like there's a wide world out there. So I do that. I take my shot of just the cap from the apple cider vinegar. I take that, put it in a little bit of water, shoot it. Greetings. Thank you for greeting me in the most appropriate way. Acoustics. Acoustics. I like that. I like how that's spelled too. Phonetically, it's correct. Anyway. So wake up, apple cider vinegar, still water, shoot it. Immediately go out for my affirmation sexy walk with pleasure with the dogs. And there are times where there's that lull, like, okay, and I immediately start saying all of these positive things. Oh, okay, that would make sense. How is my skin so beautiful? Because it is. Because I say it in my affirmations. I say my skin is healthy, my skin is glowing, my skin is radiant, my skin is more youthful and moisturized and toned in every single day. I actually say these things every day. I take excellent care of my mind, body, and soul. So it's everything. It's not one thing. It's everything. It's water. It's I don't with pleasure, King Simpleton. Sunscreen. I'm big with sunscreen. In fact, right after I do my whole oral routine of flossing, Sonicare toothbrush, scraping my tongue, I immediately splash my. Why that is absolutely fantastic, because I say that in the morning too, that my energy is captivating. So it's really cool to see these things that I say come back to me through whatever channel, which would be you, acoustics. With pleasure. It's always an uplifting message. That's what I come on to say. I don't wash my face in the morning with, thank you. I just use some rose water toner and then sunscreen. It is genuine because I'm pretty happy with my life. Regardless of what is transpiring, I get to choose how I am in this day. And I said that. I choose because I am chosen. I choose because today is a great day. I choose because I'm alive. I choose because I'm healthy. Not, it was a good day until this person cut me off. It was a good day until someone called me. It was a good day until I looked at my bank account balance and what. No, I don't care about any of that. I've chosen that today is great. That is it. I chose. I say it. I am the light. Thank you, Kat. Thank you. And thank you, vegan lifestyle coach Marika, for the follow. I choose it. Stop allowing everything in the world to choose your day. I choose my day. I choose my day. I made that joke that once when I was on this journey to speak, and I had committed myself, and that's when I left flying. I was a flight attendant for 15 years with pleasure. Thank you, George. And I said, this is what I'm going to do. This is my legacy career, and I'm just being led, and I'm going to go. And that jump is like, whoa. But I was courageous enough to do it. I do know, okay, yes, please do, please do. I did know whatever you stick with, it will be fruitful. But most people don't want to stick with it. So if you want to be, let's say, a singer, you'll try it for maybe 30 days. Let's say someone gives it 6 months. Most people won't even give it that long. I will commit myself to at least 3 years. Really, once I'm committed, I'm just committed. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take time. And when I say you have to choose your day, you choose it. You choose it, meaning if the money's not there, it's still a great day. If that person doesn't call you back, it's still a great day. If the job doesn't call you back for a second interview, it's still a great day. If nothing in your reality is going how you want, it's still a great day. I get to choose. And how powerful that is. And how powerfully uplifting that is, because it doesn't, I can say this because I do it, but from what I have witnessed, that's the only difference. I just choose it. I don't care what happens in the day. And I'm even more convicted to do this in this journey where I have to choose. where I have to say, I can be mourning the loss of my father. I can be mourning the loss of my former self. I can be mourning the loss of who I was when I was in that career. And it's a great day because I said so. So I'm going to drink this water. I'm going to expect goodness out of this day. I'm going to see the goodness out of this day. I'm going to plant the goodness out of this day. I'm going to feel the goodness out of this day. I have embodied the goodness out of this day. And there's goodness in this day, period. And it takes dedication, I have to say. But it's easier to do it in what you would call the worst times. Period. That's right, Mag. It's easiest to do it in what you would call the worst times. So when I was experiencing, really watching the final days of my father's life and having to make decisions with my sisters and my mom while he was in the hospital, and then he died, and then planning for the services, it's easiest to be in that mindset then because I was already practicing it in the best times. Yes, Brainy Bond. How can you forget me? I'm unforgettable, baby. You can't forget me. You better ask. You can't forget about me. You'll probably dream about me, which many people do, and I think that's lovely. But I'm unforgettable. Let me tell you, I've never said no one like, oh, I don't remember you. Said no one. Never heard it in my life. Even teachers like, Hope, I can't forget you. You are always talking. Doesn't matter. You still remembered me. So a win is a win. Okay? A win is a win. I choose to be unforgettable. Why? Because I don't want to be one of those mofos that's forgettable. And let me tell you, a lot of you are forgettable. A lot of you are run of the mill. And it's not your fault. It's just that you haven't seen the beauty that is you. And maybe you have seen it, but you think it's weird. You think it's outlandish. You think it's not like the norm. So you stuff it away. No, let it show. Why? Why, Joanne? Why, Joanne? Why do I... She won't be scared. She will say, who is that? What is that lovely voice saying, Joanne? I hear the voice of something so ethereal saying my name. Well, hello, Joanne. You have a wonderful husband that's always thinking about you, okay? And he chose today to be the greatest day because he's sitting by you. I know you made him a better man because that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we're meant to do. But I digress. The energy that you feel is real. I know when people are putting on the act because you can feel it. You can say many things, but the feeling is unforgettable. You can feel it. In the process, George, you have to, it's a process. I read a quote from, and I have one of his books. What is his name? Forbidden Traveler, the guy that was the chef and he had the food show, and then he self-transitioned. And I see his face. He smoked cigarettes. He drank great alcohol. He had beautiful curly gray hair. And he said to write a book is creative and a privilege for those who... Anthony Bourdain. Thank you, Motivational Healing Circle. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And bourbon. Yeah, Anthony Bourdain bourbon. I like it. I like it. See, everyone's coming out the woodworks to aid. That's also the thing. When you speak what you want, you'd be surprised how it comes. I just said, what is the name? And I had 1, 2, 4, 5 people help me. I'm sharing with you the goodness that is actually in the world. That is in the world. That is in the human spirit. That is in the universe, the US, the world, wherever. And to remember that, because if you're walking through life saying this place... Well, the U.S. is a weird place. I will say that. However, If you're constantly thinking this place is terrible, I'm lonely, I'm unsafe, that's what you will see. I mean, I'm strong like bull, but everywhere I walk with a power and I'm never scared, okay? Bone Crusher taught me. I never scared. I never scared. And I got people that are like, hey, that's Hope. You got a problem, Hope? Let me handle it. Because as I would say, I would never implicate myself and I would have other entities handle things for me. However, attention! I remember that. I remember that because I was in the club then and I loved it. All of you that, I don't know about the club now because I've retired from the club, but 2000s, I don't think it can be compared simply because we did not have phones. So people were actually having fun. The same way I seek to have fun every day is how we were having fun in the club. And you see how I'm adding these little antidotes? It's just a reminder you can choose to have fun. It's not always in the phone. It's always on the phone when I'm talking. But if you're aimlessly scrolling just to take you away from the problem, attack the problem. And it's not a problem, it's a lesson. It's a lesson. I said out loud to myself today, you know, I'm in this area of trust, and so I have to trust, not make something work, force something to work, no. If I'm going to trust that everything is working out, that means I know it is. I don't need to know how. I don't need to know when. I don't need to know if, because I know it is. And that is true trust. Motivational Healing Circle. Did Mag invite you? Look at Mag. He's one of my favorites. I am my favorite. Let me speak on that. This is my favorite. And I say that because when I know I am my favorite, I am elevating every space I go. And thank you for the hand hearts and every person I'm around. I'm not looking for someone to add to me. I'm not looking for someone to validate me. I'm not looking for someone to say, Hope you beautiful. I know that. I get to see me every day. I get to wake up to me. I get to go to sleep to me. I get to wake up in the middle of the night to go pee and see me. I know that. I tell myself that. I'm not searching for someone to say, Hope you're beautiful. And I'm sharing this with you to validate yourself. It makes it a lot easier. Life is a lot easier because that's right. You can have a positive self-image and still look for others to validate you and still look for others to tell you you're smart or you're worthy or you're enough or your job title is important enough for me to talk to you. I have always said, I don't care about what you do. And even with gentlemen, because it's not dudes, gentlemen come to me, amazing gentlemen. I never ask what they do. If you're in my life, I'll be able to figure it out and we'll be around each other, so I'll know. But I never ask people what they do because most people hate their jobs. And their eyes glaze over and they just go into this automatic robotic like, oh, well, I've been doing that. I don't care. You hate what you do and it shows. And you go into the life leaves from your eyes and you just start talking about this job that you hate, that you don't want. And really, it tells me nothing about you. Your job, your age, where you're from, it tells me nothing about you. I have 4 sisters. We're all from the same area. We all have different lives. We all live in different places in the world. I want to know you. I want to know what's your favorite dessert. When's the last time you had a great laugh? Book or podcast? Who are you guaranteed to pick up the phone for when you see them calling? These are the types of questions I ask, because the rest are boring. How's your day? That's dumb. How's your day? Oh, it's fine. Then the conversation is done. then What is the hot drink you had this morning? Do you have coffee? Do you have tea? Coffee? Okay. How do you take your coffee? With milk or sugar? That also comes from me being a flight attendant, because I was so used to that. Thank you, Motivational Healing Circle. And listen, baby, it's always going to be beautiful where I am, because I'm there. You see how I did that? I say this to bring some energy to life. Bring some energy to your life by just asking different questions, and more so listening. Because you can ask all of the questions in the world, but if you don't listen to the response, it doesn't matter. And what I have noticed as a speaker, I listen. I listen a lot, because then it will come out in a speech or a message somewhere, and I can tell when you aren't listening. And listening is a skill. Listening takes practice, and listening without your response mechanism turned on. So listening when someone says, yeah, I love Coca-Cola, and in your mind you're thinking, well, they shouldn't drink Coca-Cola. Soda is terrible. You can use it to clean your toilet. It ruins your teeth. Just listen without judgment. Just listen. People will tell you everything about themselves when you listen, especially if you're in a space of dating. Listen. That's what I do. I listen. So many people just want to share about themselves that they forget that others like to share. And it's nice when someone's listening and then says, wow, that's incredible. Tell me about that. So how did that make you feel? So what inspired you to start your art of watercolors or whatever it is? Become interested in life by becoming interested in others, because you are interesting. However, what you will learn from someone else is there's far more similarities than differences, and people will tell you everything about themselves. Sometimes it just comes down to listening. And then walking away with the sense of like, oh, wow, that was a really great conversation. Or, oh, wow, I would have never known that. Or, oh, wow, I learned this. Something. As a talker, stop talking and listen, especially if you're on a date. If you're on a date, listen more. Ask more questions and just listen, because the person is going to feel flattered, but you'll also be able to ingest more about the person. Now, when they ask you questions, respond. But the beauty of getting to know someone is to let it bloom. Thank you, Hazel, for sharing the live. Thank you, Albert15212, for sharing the live. So often someone will say, oh, that's my type. And I've shared like, well, how is that thing with your type going? I asked one of my friends, how's that your type going? Oh, well, now that you say it, I hope not too good. Exactly. Human beings, especially in the West, are horrible at selecting mates, even selecting friends. You want to select someone to be in your life based on their height? Or based off of what you deem is what you want other people to see you with? That's why I said, listen, a lot of these mofos, I would say, I don't listen to you. Why would I listen? Look who you picked. Look at your choices. And this isn't in a way of judgment, but if your choice is, well, I would never do that. Well, of course you wouldn't. You really haven't strayed too far off of where we left off 20 years ago. So I don't know why I would ever take what you would do into my life view. And I share that because I do believe I saw an exceptional example of a great partnership with my parents. But even with that, I had to sift through that and say, yeah, that was great for them. And I can tweak it for myself. I can say, this will work for me. I can cast that out. This will work for me, or it used to, but I no longer need that. You can actually add the things and subtract for you, but it's often not the arbitrary things that you feel, such as height, and that's great. Although I've never really cared about someone's physical appearance. I love people and I love personalities, and I was in a long-term relationship with a gentleman who was shorter than me. I'm like 5'8". He might have been 5'4", 5'5". He was an incredible person. Still is. Incredible person. And I remember someone saying, like, Hope, I saw you with your boyfriend, and I thought, huh, shit, wow. You really aren't, you really have a different way of choosing people. Well, I don't really choose people. I think I attract people. And I have purposely always looked at who I've attracted as long-term partners. So if we're 90 years old, we're going to shrink anyway. As long as you support me and listen to me and truly respect who I am, your height is like minimal. Yeah, humans, especially in the West, have a horrible track record of choosing. What they choose is typically not what's best for them. Let me say this again. What they choose, not in all cases, but in some cases, is not what's best for them. My niece had said, oh yeah, this guy's really attractive. I said, that's great. However, attractiveness is just one element. Know a person, because especially with women, and I'm a beautiful woman, and I know lots of beautiful women, some of y'all are getting bamboozled because the only factor for you allowing entrance, allowing someone into your life is how they look. And then you wonder why this person done wrecked your entire life. Well, the only barrier to entry is how they looked. That was it. That's going to change. And that really doesn't mean so much, because that doesn't mean so much. And I share that to be open about what you allow in your life. And I will say there was a time where all of my friends were extremely attractive, and that was not the best barrier to entry. A lot of my girlfriends, extremely attractive women. Maybe not the best at other elements and parts of friendship, but that was the lesson. I don't say it's a bad thing or fault myself. That's a part of the lesson. And hey, it's always nice to be the beautiful girl with other beautiful girls. If someone says, hey, Hope, come and bring your friends, they know, look what I brought. And they'll be from all over the world and spectacularly beautiful. However, I also like to bring people that will bring up the feeling of where we are. So maybe they are just extremely charismatic or funny or knowledgeable and beautiful, because that's so impressive when someone's beautiful and knowledgeable. Like, how could they have the best of both worlds? Which is ridiculous. You can be beautiful and, well, yeah, and it's not... let me call you in, Hazel, not call you out, because that saying of calling out is ridiculous. Even that, bringing something like nothing needs to be brought. I just seek to elevate. So I don't know if I bring anything, but whatever's already there will be elevated. Maybe just from my intentional listening. Thank you, cool Aaron. You too. And I love the content that you're posting. Keep it up. You're very consistent. What's up, Tribe Healer? Even that thought of what do you bring to the table? Well, elevation. It's not something that I'm physically bringing, but you will know wherever I go, you know I'm there. When I leave, you know I'm gone. So it's not that I've brought anything specifically, but the feeling you feel. And I've always said that. I don't care what it is. I want to feel something. And I am often with myself. I don't say by myself. I'm with myself. Thank you, Tate Taught USA, for sharing the live. Because I've done quite a bit being a flight attendant and living around the world and traveling and being in several different spaces that sometimes I do feel like, oh, okay, well, this may not bring a feeling, but maybe that's why I'm there. And that's even a space of learning of maybe the point was just to be there. Maybe my energy is shifting someone. I don't know. I titled this live Reformulate and Rest because I'm resting. I'm reformulating. My speeches are different. How I show up is different. I had just gotten off of a call for an event that I'm speaking at. I'm one of the keynote speakers, October 17th, 18th, and 19th. Because I know the power that my words hold, but I've also been introduced to the true power of my energy. And I thought as a speaker, it had to be peso. I'm speaking right now. Can we just bring it down, peso? Thank you. Thank you, Hazel. And being very forward with my power as a speaker, because I used to be like, oh my gosh, speaking, like, I don't know, but I did know. I always knew. It was just kind of a fear. And it was a fear of being too good. It was a fear of, if I'm that great, that means someone may not like me. And I had carried that since school, because I would, well, you think you're the smartest in the class. Well, I don't think it. I know it. But so are you at something you do. Because I have an A does not take away from you. Thank you, Purposeful Living, for the follow. Whatever you do great doesn't take away from anyone else. In fact, I had made a post that I didn't even post it. I'll post it after this. For you to shine is the purpose. There's something about you, about your essence, about your energy, about who you are as a person that has to be seen. It's supposed to be seen. It's why you are here. Alma. And yeah, I know it. I've always been this way. And I think that's a powerful move. I had told my mom I was never bullied. I probably was the bully. I also have sisters. I'm one of 5 girls, and I'm number 4 of 5. My oldest sister tried to, but she couldn't really do that. What are you going to tell me? But either way, I had to face that battle before I went and had the battle in school, which I didn't have a battle in school. I went to great schools, and no one was going to bother me because I always had this mouth. Yeah. Oh, right. The circle of girls. Yeah, that feminine power. I thought when I started my journey of speaking that Thank you, Markela Heidelberg, for sharing the live. I thought it was only to speak to women, but the word is universal. The word is universal. And I myself do not adhere to one specific religion, although my father was a pastor and I was raised in the Christian faith. I thought, like, am I being led to like the pulpit? And my sister was like, the world is your pulpit. You travel the world and you never know who you've helped on the plane, or like, I talk to everyone. Exactly. I love that, Hazel. I love that. I love that. Passive, no. What do I pass on? Probably nothing. I pass on boring. I don't do that. But my sister telling me the world is your pulpit, that to uplift, to inspire is like the good news. It's the gospel. Thank you, Haywire Music, for the follow. Thank you, Mick Love One, for the follow. Thank you, Wisdom Eviana, for the follow. And also through my travels through India, my travels through China, my travels through Japan, my travels through, you name it, I've been there, throughout Europe or Argentina or Brazil or Iceland. What I saw was this constant unseen force. Some people would call it Yahweh. Some people would call it God. Some people would call it Allah. I think it's this unseen force of goodness. Yes, I love to hear that, Hazel. I love to hear mothers speak about their children, especially, well, just about their children. This is regardless of gender, because children are magnetic. And when I chose, after this, it's taken me a while, but on my YouTube page, Hope is Speaking YouTube, tonight I'm posting it. I've been working on it every day, a little every day. 10 things about me, because a lot of my YouTube is like my lives or meditations, and I'm making more content about me. So it's 10 questions about me. Go subscribe to my YouTube, Hope is Speaking, and it will be up by within an hour. I actually have it uploading now. However, it was like, yeah, I'm going to speak. I love speaking. I love being able to make someone laugh or inspire or just see something differently that maybe they had never seen or heard. And because I've been in all of these spaces, I really honed my gift of speaking. And I shared that because you have a gift too. You always have had a gift. We each have gifts. And the point of the gift is for it to be seen. For it to be seen. For it to be felt. For it to inspire others. And you know what it is. But until you allow yourself to truly let it shine, it does nothing. It's staying dormant. And we need each of our gifts. You have no idea how something you do may inspire someone. It may inspire yourself. It may inspire a family member, but more so, it's for you to share. To share. And when I decided to take that call, and really it was after my emergency landing, when you go to the link in my bio, click the link in my bio, you can watch my TED Talk, which I gave last October in Karlsruhe, Germany. It was about that shift when I had an emergency landing as a flight attendant. And I was like, man, I love flying, but this is why they hired me. It sounds great because really, I jumped all around the world. There was weeks where I would go from, I remember once I was so mixed up because I went to 4 or 5 different countries in like 2 weeks. outside of working. Like, oh, a friend's doing this. Come here, come here. Go to Brazil. Okay, we're going to party there. Then I'm flying. I'll meet you in Tokyo. I'm only staying in Tokyo for 2 days because then I got to fly back to London to work to DC. Then when I get back to London, I'm going to Senegal. Like, it's almost like being a celebrity. And I did that. And it is incredible. And I share it to say, go do it. But I've done it so much that it's like I don't crave it. I did it to a degree that unless you're in aviation, you wouldn't be able to do. But then I asked myself, what else is there? What else is there? I've done all the countries. I've really done all of that. What else is there? And then I kept feeling these redirections from passengers transitioning in my arms. Like, this is, whoa, an existential crisis. I've never actually seen an actual transition, let alone in my arms on the plane. Most flight attendants had never had that happen. Thank you, Majuela, for the follow. And the experiences and the people, and then that emergency landing, I was so shooken up. I really had post-traumatic stress disorder. When you have an emergency landing like that, let me tell you, it will change your life. Any little bill you're thinking about, any dude or girl, like they haven't called me back, trust me, when you're on a plane that they're like, hope we're about to go down in a fiery blaze, you are not thinking, man, Brian hasn't called me in a week. You ain't thinking about Brian. Brian, he's done, okay? Because you're about to be done. You ain't thinking about Brian. You ain't thinking about Brianna. You ain't thinking about none of that. Let me share this with you. Everything that you think is important ceases to be important. What's up, going in hot, safety off? When you have these experiences, these near-death experiences, what you think is important really isn't. Hey, it isn't. As I said, a bill, you're not thinking about a bill when a pilot says, all right, prepare for an emergency landing, right? Because you're about to crash into the earth. What's up, Valentine? The reality is, that's the reality. Whatever you're worried about, all it takes is a perspective or a perspective shift to say, like, that's not that important. The bill will be paid when it's paid. If it's not paid today, staying up and crying and not liking yourself and judging yourself for what you don't have and not seeing yourself as a human, because we are in a space where your humanity is directly linked with your bank account, detach that. You're more than your bank account. You are a human being and you're worthy of living. Your life isn't about going to a job, collecting a paycheck, coming home, paying a bill, and then one day it all being over. No, it's not. It's not. It really isn't. Bam Bam Entertainment, thank you for the follow. But when I had that emergency landing and I was the leader, I was the lead on that flight, it caused me to say, right, I've done this for 14 years at the time. I've really lived all the places I said I wanted to live, and I've been intentional. There's an energy when I speak because even when the plane was going down, thank you, Valentine, I love that. I was okay. It was like, well, it's not like I could say I haven't lived. I mean, most people, the fact that I could say I've lived in every city that I wanted to live in, I've lived in some of the world's most celebrated locations without a degree, with just sheer will. The London and Paris and New York and all of the, I've done it. I've explored. I've allowed my parents and my family and friends to travel the world with me. I've done this. Yeah, I'm not too upset if this is the end. I don't feel like I'm missing out. I'm not feeling like I didn't do it all, because I did quite a bit. But if that's how it ends, if you just go on with your day and then everything goes to black, what do I want to be doing? Because that's how it happens. And most people will say, well, after I save enough money and retire, then listen, you, that's the carrot in front of you. Well, it's not instant stress, Ambox. There is no stress. Even if I was told that wouldn't be stressful. What I just said was I had no stress. What you just admitted was the stress that you would have from maybe how your experience has been to this moment. There's no stress. I'm actually quite okay with transition for myself. I don't fear that at all. And I actively act as if daily. Thank you, Stay Pure 7. And so let me catch what I'm saying. I've been courageous enough to take the chance, and it will take that courage of not knowing, but knowing to fully say, like, okay, well, yeah, I'm doing it. Because if I do get that diagnosis, first of all, the diagnosis doesn't mean anything, because I know the power of my words. I know the power of the human brain, but I know the power in how I live every day. So there is no stress of what will happen, what haven't I done, I only have X amount of time, do I have time to do? I've already done so much that I purposely, when that happened, said, what else can I do for something outside of me? I've really, at the end of a lot of people's life experience, what do they say? I wish I would have traveled more. I've really done it. Like, I've really done it. And it's not that I still travel, but I've done it. I've done it both professionally and as a passion. And then other professions in the meantime. But it was more so, I've really kind of scratched what I wanted to do off. If it was climbing Mount Everest, if it was skydiving, if it was shaving my hair off, if it was moving to Paris, I've done all of these things, which they're great. I don't know if they add it to me. They add it to my life story. But if I can encourage someone to add to theirs, that actually holds more weight. Thank you, Nina, for the follow. And that's what I got out of my emergency landing. Once we did safely get to the ground, I remember making a list, and I was really shook up because, man, that will change you. That will change every part of you. Let me tell you, to have that experience. But also when I saw all of the passengers in the airport hugging each other, strangers, I've seen the beauty in humanity. I've also been out of the, most of my adult life was spent outside of the US. I've really experienced the world. For me to share and have this energy and make you laugh and encourage and do this storytelling is a gift that maybe opens the space for someone else to fulfill their authenticity in whatever it is. What's up, Stevie PB? And that's the choice I chose to make. I started writing down, what do I want to do? Where do I want to live? Where do I really want to live? If you wake up and you don't actually like where you live, I've shared this. I only will live where I want to live. I've seen too much of the world, and I've done it too many times where I've said, okay, I want to live there, and I move. Okay, I want to live there, and I move. I don't want to live somewhere because it's cheap. I don't want anything cheap. My parents always say, hope you're the most expensive kid. Listen, if it's cheap, I don't want it. And there's a reason why it's cheap. Plus, because of what I have seen, I know what I want. If you don't know what you want, it's very easy just to place yourself anywhere. I know I like to be outside. I know I like to hike. I know I like the ocean. I know I like sunshine. I know that because I lived in cold places with snow. I lived on the East Coast. I lived in London where it's raining 75% of the year. So although, yeah, I loved those 7 years of living there, I don't ever care to live in dreary, rainy weather. What's up, Alfred? I'm beautiful, hydrated, astounding, prosperous, and feeling like an empress. That's how I am. I also know for my whole 15 years flying, I never had a car because I'm always thinking of, if you don't have a car, you don't have well, I wouldn't have a car payment because I would just pay for it full out. But typically someone would have a car payment, they would have gas, they would have insurance, they would have upkeep. If I don't have all of those expenses, that's more money that I could put towards myself or the future, which is what I did, which is why I was so confident in retiring, because since 22, I had diverted 30% of my salary to long-term investing or savings. I knew that. So yes, I am courageous, but I also knew there was a point where I wouldn't want to fly anymore. It is great. It is great, but it can be tiring. And I'm in tip-top shape, baby. I don't know how some of these people do it. I see what y'all eat. I see how you take care of yourself or how you don't. But ultimately, I was okay with walking away because I knew what would be in front of me would even be brighter than what I had created. And once you have it, you can always create it again. I am never afraid I never fear not having financial abundance because it won't last. If you don't have $1, it's not going to be like that for the next 60 years. And you can always make money back. I love you too, Alan. Oh, I love that. Love you, Hope. Love you too. Thank you. If you really love me, shoot me some money. You see how I asked for that? Because I will. I'll just ask. Like, it's great. I would, what would my mom say? Because my mom is hilarious. And there was a song on, and it was like, I don't need no presents or gifts, baby. All I need is love. And my mom's like, baby. Give me the presents and give me the gifts and give me the money. I love that. And my dad would always gift her with stuff. So you can always send a gift. You can go to my link in bio. But I don't fear that. And that makes me indestructible because number one, I've helped a lot of people, so I could call on a favor for people. And we all go through those times. I've found a way to not let any time of learning define me. Because when you're rebuilding, I will share with you, everything will have to be demolished. And sometimes that's the fear. But when you're rebuilding, that's what you're doing. You're rebuilding. So you have to clear out the space. And there may be a time where you're just learning. Maybe it's learning to navigate with less. Maybe it's learning that you made great decisions or you made some decisions that you wouldn't do in the future, but you have a support system or you find a way through or you see your resilience and you keep going. But that fear of not having it, I don't have it. I don't have that. I will make it happen. And that's a part of it. Sometimes you just have to say, it doesn't matter because I'm going to make it happen. I will. I will. I don't know how. It's not for me to know how. It's to know the opportunity will arise and has arisen. And people do come and people do help and people see like, man, this person's trying. Let me give them a hand. That is real. And that is so helpful when The rebuilding process is happening because it's not going to be like that forever. It won't. It won't. And the entire fear of I don't have it, I can't pay the bill, that's a part of it. But so what? If it doesn't get paid, it just won't get paid. You'll find a way. You'll find other ways to maneuver, and you will get back to where you want to be. Just be able to divorce who you are and your humanity from a number, especially pertaining money. Because in this country, the US, everything is about money. Your human element is money. And to be able to say, I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of respect, I'm worthy of living, regardless of how much I actually have, is an act of love for yourself. And when I also chose to say, you know what, I'm going to step away from flying, I was already ready. I had told my family, let me actually go inside. Hold on. Come on, girls, let's go inside. So I can charge my phone and I can still talk. Because I don't want to leave you guys yet. However, my phone is low, so I want to be able to still talk. Hold on. Hi, Piso. Okay, so I had already my vintage Wrangler cutoffs on, and I do need to plug my phone in. So just bear with me, bear with me, bear with me. Okay, there we go. I had told my family, like, yo, get all your traveling in because my days are numbered. I had said that probably 2 or 3 years before I actually retired. But I never have a fear of leaving a place. Hold on. And I had spoken about this before when I worked as a makeup artist. When I left, I was fired. But when I left the department store, the thought was, well, this is but when I left the department store, the thought was, well, the limitation is not you. The limitation is someone else's. That's their limitation. I won't be able to find another way to have this. Of course I will. Of course I will. Same with flying. And it was a bit of like, I've done it. I wouldn't miss it. Of course I miss the camaraderie and the people I worked with. But do I actually miss the job? Not so much. I miss the perks. I miss the perks of flying, like having a dedicated security line and having a dedicated line when we would check into our hotel and having the transport waiting and not having to go through passport control. All of those things. Either way, I said, it's not like I'm not going to travel again. And I've lived the world. I don't even say I've seen the world. I've lived it several times. So there's nothing that I'm missing out on. And I share that because often the thought is, if I leave this, it won't get any better. And courage rewards the brave. So it will take that courageous step of stepping away to gain something more. It will take that. And how that shows up is you deciding to say, yes to whatever it is. To whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe it's yes to like leaving a relationship. You know what it is because it's constantly there. You're constantly hearing it. You're constantly being woken up with this vision of it. And it will come down to you saying, okay, I'm going to listen. Okay, I'm going to do it. Okay, this is uncomfortable, but I'm going forward with it. And it wasn't really uncomfortable for me because after that emergency landing, and again, I had been flying well over 10 years. I had been flying 14 years at this time. And it shook me up, but I took it as redirection. And I remember I knew that I was going to leave the airline. And I was living in New York, New Jersey at the time. And I also knew I was going to move because right after then I took a piece of paper and like this, I just started writing like, where do I want to live? Do I like where I live? No. I live here because the airport is here and it's convenient for work, but it's not where I want to live. I don't even like New York City. And I've lived in cities. My whole entire career, I lived in cities, DC, New York, London, Paris. I'm okay with cities. I love a city. I love the convenience of a city. More so, I love the convenience of walkability. I love the walkability of a city. But I've done it. I'm like, want to slow down. It's loud. I've lived in loud cities and they're very loud. When you visit these places, it's somewhat like a one-off. Like, wow, the vibrancy of the city. No, it's loud and there's sirens and there's people dancing until 5 a.m. and doing flips off the wall and like, no, yeah, no city. I mean, I will still keep a home in certain cities. I don't even ever see myself in one place. I have always known I will just have homes in my favorite places in the world. But I don't care to be like in New York City 365 days a year. No way. I could easily do like late spring, early summer, maybe 2 months, 3 months tops, but no. Same thing with London, same thing with Paris. There's the only place I would live full time, well, Hawaii, and there's other places, but cities are great for an extended amount of time. Right, so I wrote a list of where I wanted to live. I want to be in a warm destination. I want to be on an island. I haven't had that. I've had a touristy city, and I love a touristy element because I love to talk to people and say, hey, go to this restaurant. Oh, look, ask for this person. Oh, go on this hike. Go here, go here. I love that. That's a part of my flight attendantness, and my dad used to do that because he traveled quite a bit for work. I even asked myself, how warm do I want it? Because I knew I wanted to be in the sun. I remember one of the last winters I had in New York, and people in New York or even on the East Coast will say, I hate this. This is terrible. You don't hate it enough. I hated it enough to say I will never have a winter here ever again. Like, you can do that. When it's that bad for you, you can set the standard. I've heard too many people, including people in my family, I don't like this, this is the worst. Yet you're there every year. No, I'm not freezing my butt off again. I'm not going to be pale and pasty again. I'm not going to be walking down these steps of the subway and slip and fall on my butt. I'm not doing it. It's done. It's done. It's done. It is done, okay? And so I fulfilled that. And how warm do I want it? Do I want it like Palm Springs hot, 110? Do I want it Miami hot? Do I want it Senegal hot? Do I want it south of Spain hot? How hot do you want it? For me, my perfect range is 82 to 88 with a slight breeze, right? My parents and I was raised in Central California where it's dry heat, triple digits. I don't care to be in an oven like that. It's not great for my skin. So yeah, when someone says, oh, I like hot. Now, how hot? I don't want Texas hot. I don't want Death Valley hot. I don't want that. What I will have is a nice tropical 82 to 88 with a slight island breeze, a little water, sunshine. I was that intentional. Because you could say you want it hot, but how hot you want it? Abu Dhabi hot? Kuwait City hot? Dubai hot? All of these places I've been to. And so to be that intentional, you're able to craft your life. But if you just say, I want it hot, well, then you may have it so hot that you'll say, man, this is too hot for me. Well, you didn't really specify how hot you wanted it. I knew I wanted an island. I knew I wanted tropical. I knew I wanted to either initially move back outside the US because I was looking at Colombia, and I also Tokyo. I wanted water because I love to be in the water. I've always had water around, like a pool or some body of water. I enjoyed being in the water. I love swimming as a sport. I love being able to be outside. I love being able to have natural things that I can utilize as my pastime, be it hiking or a nature drive or surfing, something like that. Like, unless you're in New York, where you have all of these other activities, I don't really care to just go shopping as the only activity. And most of the US, outside of some of the areas with a lot of nature, the only other thing you can do is hop in the car and go to a shopping center. And I no longer consume alcohol, so that's out of it. So I'm sharing this because I was intentional. Warm, 82, 88, island, water, lots of natural activities because I enjoy being outside, and being able to wear some cutoff shorts like I have now and just chill a bit more, to pick my own fruits and vegetables if I wanted to be able to slow down, because even working in aviation, it's fast paced and it's also loud. It's very loud. The plane is loud, the airplanes are loud, transiting is loud, being on the subway is loud. I was constantly going, and to slow down was the goal. And so I had picked Maui. And I think I had went to Maui that February. This was in 2019. I had the emergency landing that May. And then I was like, yeah, it's Maui. It's just Maui. And what's the car I want to drive? The exact car, not what can I afford? What's available? No. Because I saw when this thing ends, I don't want my life to end without me doing exactly what I want. Not because it's what I could afford, it's what it was available, it was what was near. Nah, that's whack. If I actually have the control of putting my life together how I want it, then that's what I'm going to do. And I won't do anything less. And how powerful that is. Thank you, Antonio D. Woods, for the follow. How powerful that is. Because when I chose to do that, and those final months in New York, I treated New York like I was a tourist. I went back and saw the Statue of Liberty. And I started seeing every trip I flew and every time I was back home in New York as like a tourist. I was doing touristy things purposely because I knew I'm going to leave this place. So let me treat it as that. And how powerful that is to treat your life as that, because you will leave. There are a lot of individuals who are operating like this will never end. Like, I'll get to it someday. I'll go one day. I'll go when I get around to it. No, set the date and do it. Because until you set the date, it's just in the ethers. It's not possible. Oh, I'm going to go eventually. Eventually isn't a date. It's not November 14th. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. And that is how I was able to grab a hold of this thing called life, through that experience. And from that experience, when I moved to Hawaii, I don't think about it, Cece. I never have. Why would I think about That's one of the biggest life-changing thoughts, because everything is based off of, can I afford? I don't look at that. If I want it, the price is right. That's what I want. So if I go to the grocery store, and for me, whatever I put in my body is very important. I am not going to buy something that costs less because it costs less, because it's going in my body. If it's an organic tomato, I'm not looking at the monetary price, because how it's going to fortify my body is the actual reward. I'm not looking at it in that way. And so when I take that away, it doesn't really matter. Plus, as a single person, I never quite understood that when I would hear colleagues or friends of mine saying, this supermarket or farm stand is so expensive. You're one person. And I traveled often, so I'm not buying a bag of potatoes. I'm buying like 3 or 4 tomatoes, maybe 4 potatoes. I don't need that many. I cook almost daily, and then I would travel, and I make it a point to ingest everything I eat. So that is a part of being intentional. Often, individuals are just operating off of what they learned from their family. You're one person. You do not need 10 pounds of apples. You don't. You don't. You're not going to eat it. It's going to go bad. You'll have to throw it out. So I choose to buy what I can consume. And I would, because I could walk to the farmer's market or my grocery store, it was not a issue for me to say, oh, let me walk there. It takes 7 to 10 minutes for me to walk there. I can go there every day if I want, or twice a week, or 3 times a week. Shifting your perspective. It's never about what it costs, because often the cost, I've had everything I've ever wanted. I've lived everywhere I've ever wanted. Housing is, you will find what you want. What do you want? I've lived everywhere I wanted, and I never thought I can't afford it. I never went to DC and said I can't afford it. I never said I'm going to transfer to London, but I can't afford it. I'm going to move to Paris, but I can't afford it. I'm going to move to Hawaii, but I can't. No, I'm moving to Paris. That's it. It'll work out. I'm moving to Hawaii. That's it. I'm moving to London. That's it. It's not the other way around. The problem is when the thought is I can't afford it, it's not possible. No, it will happen. Thank you, Sharon. It's going to happen. Here's the other thing. Anything that you hear about a place is not going to be my experience. I am awesome. I am amazing. The best things happen to me, and I know that. So I know as soon as I set my sights on a place, the place for me to live is coming to me. And just because you hear people saying it's so expensive, that doesn't mean it's going to apply to you. I don't care about that. I don't know what. Here's the other thing. Let me ask you this. What is your expensive? If you're coming from anywhere in the southern part of the US, everywhere is going to have an elevated cost. But I am one person. I've only been with myself, meaning I do not have a family to support. I do not have offspring. It is me. So in all of these spaces, it was really the same cost. And I always find exactly what I need. I'm never going somewhere. Did you hear me say I don't like cheap, first of all? How you pay your 401, I don't know what 401 is. You would have to structure that in a concise sentence. However, I will say I lived off of 70% of my salary. So you're speaking to someone who is pretty well versed. This is why I retired, because for all of that time I invested, saved, or had long-term outlook for my salary. I put 30% away. So that's how. My father was also in finance. I've learned what money is, and I know that living entitled, I don't understand. If you're speaking of entitled, you might have spelled it wrong, but I don't understand. And yeah, sure. So when I moved to London, I had been looking on Gumtree, which is almost like Craigslist, but there was a lot of scams. And eventually my boyfriend's cousin at the time, it's faith, but what is the other option, Cece? What is the other option? If the other option is the belief of that would never happen, yeah, then it's faith. But again, my thought is I'm moving there, that's what's going to happen. It's not how am I going to afford this? That's never the thought. That's never the thought. And that's just how I had saw it with all of the places that I lived. And they increasingly were better as I was with the airline for longer, but it didn't matter because the experience was the outcome. I wanted the experience of living outside of the US full time. So what that would entail would be, that's what I want. That's what I'm going to have. There's not the opposite. And I'm not ever listening to anyone because I know the power of me and the human mind, and I've seen what I can do. So even when someone in the chat said Hawaii is expensive, sure, but I don't know what you feel is expensive. That varies from person to person. That varies. What is expensive to one person is average to the other, or not expensive to another person. It all starts from your starting point, your perspective. So you see how that works. Plus, it's too expensive for me to be somewhere I don't want to be. If I don't want to live in a place, that's expensive. because I don't want to be there. If I actually don't want to be there, that's taking a toll on my physical well-being. Granted, as a person who's been flying since I was 22 years old, that's all I knew. So it may sound very foreign, but the first time that I moved out, then that was it. Then I only knew, oh, I'm only living where I want to live. Or I'll only transfer where I want to transfer. Or I'll commute. But outside of that, it really shows your lack of the power within you. And this isn't directed towards you, Cece. This is for anyone who said, well, how are you? No, you aren't able to. I do have the privilege of understanding money, but here's the thing. In this country, you better learn it and learn it quick, because the biggest fallacy with money is that it's real. Of course you have money to pay for things, but there's people that don't even believe they can be in a space just because they don't have money. Like, it doesn't, I could have $2 and go look at a painting that's $300,000. But that's because that's not real. Just because I may not physically have it now doesn't mean I won't ever have it. And I have shared this. I would purposely put myself in settings and go and I went to Steinway & Sons and looked at pianos and looked at this custom piano with a custom inlay. It was like $130,000. I said, okay, so how quickly can I have this? When is it gonna be able to be delivered? Just having that conversation. There are so many people that would feel so uncomfortable to even walk through those doors, let alone have that conversation with a salesperson. That's when I say it's not real. Because even the power of doing that when you don't physically have it is almost like your future self. Because it's similar to when I went to buy my car. Often when you go to a car lot, let's say you go to the BMW car dealership, if you're intimidated by the people that sell the cars, that's what I'm talking about, where money isn't real. The person that's selling the car often does not have that make. They are an employee. And this isn't to downgrade them. This is to say you're actually in the powerful standpoint if you're going in to buy it. Same thing with any designer store. If you go in and feel like you're less than because of the sales associates, they are employees. They often don't have the products that you're going to buy. But if you feel less than, that's not a bad thing. Understand that that's there for a reason. Work on that. Go and talk to them. That's not a bad thing. Understand that that's there for a reason. Work on that. Go and talk to the employees. Ask for a glass of champagne. Ask to look at things. Put yourself where you want to be instead of saying, oh, they're judging me, they don't like me, I can't afford. They don't know. They're just trying to get their commission. But how you feel in these spaces is saying a lot about yourself. What's up, astronaut status? It's saying a lot about yourself. And what my father taught me about money is, yeah, it's not real, but being able to operate in spaces without it actually changing your personality is a cheat code. It's a cheat code. There's nowhere that I do not feel worthy of entering. Whether it's an ultra high net worth individual, and ultra high net worth is categorized by 30 million or more, or anyone. Because I'm treating every human as the human they are. The treatment, how I interact with someone is not changed by their financial status. That's ridiculous. Why? Why would you change how you interact with someone because of, thank you sincerely, of how much you think they do or don't have? As my dad said, you believe the lie. That don't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything. That also comes from traveling, because within the US, there's a lot of emphasis put on that. It doesn't mean anything, but that is a cheat code. And it's also a cheat code to keep you out of certain spaces. But if you can operate comfortably as yourself, I didn't say change yourself. I said operate as yourself wherever you go. Wherever I go, I am hope. I don't need to alter or change my appearance, my voice, anything about me with who I'm around, other than like if I'm speaking a different language. And that also, those barriers are put there for a reason. When I've lived in all of these spaces, when I usually say these things, I see the change in others' demeanors. And it's usually like, how did this person do that? I did that purposely. I did that purposely. Even in Hawaii, I remember after I bought my i3, which I wrote this down after my emergency landing. I had loved the i3, which is the electric hatchback BMW that I bought kind of, I don't know if it was a birthday present or a Christmas gift. It might have been a mix of both. But I remember feeling that. My father had a car dealership prior to when I was born. He was the first person, regardless of color, he was the first person, I believe, in Modesto, California, to open a GMC Pontiac dealership out of the service. And so I learned a lot about buying cars from my father, and I'm very confident. But I did remember going in to the dealership and feeling that, like, I'm not worthy to be here. Why am I here? Can I do this? And I have the credit, I have the money, I've been researching. The car was just delivered, like it was the used car that I wanted. I knew how much I was gonna pay. I knew I wanted to haggle. And I felt that, and I had spoke to my therapist, like, I never had felt that before, of that feeling of unworthiness, of you don't deserve to be in this space of this German car dealership. This was the first car I'd ever purchased. My father purchased my first car, and then after my first car, I didn't drive because then I was with the airline. So after I went, I test drove the car, and I was like, I like the car. And the guy's like, okay, do you want it? I said, yeah. He was like, okay, how much you want to pay? And I gave him my price, and he was like, okay. I said, was that easy? Like, I thought I was going to have to haggle. He's like, all right, sure. And it was that easy. But as I was speaking to my therapist, she said, well, Hope, genetically, there's things that are passed down, and your grandmother, that would have been a space that would have been unsafe for her. So that's still within you. You have to understand, you can prepare yourself and be as confident as you feel you are, and there's still epigenetics and things that reside in us, because there are spaces where 2, 3, 4 generations before, we could have had physical harm, and that still comes out. So I wanted to share that. But there's also a reason why I bought that car. I wanted to be in the realm of having an EV, an electric car. Also, being a single person, if I have to take my car into the dealership and it's a Wednesday morning, who else is going to be there on a Wednesday morning at 10 a.m.? Some other single BMW driver. It's all about putting yourself in these spaces. And I have one of the least expensive because hey, girls, just a minute. The dogs. Because cars lose their value very quickly. EVs lose their value very quickly. I bought my EV in 2019. It was a 2015, so it was a quarter of the price, really, a quarter of the price. And that was my entry into an electric car. And I'm sharing this because often, like, that's expensive. Well, not really. Not really. This wasn't a brand new car. This was like, I think I paid $15,000 for that car. Where brand new, it's like $67,000. So you may see it when I drive it as, wow, that was so expensive. How'd this person do this? But I see it as a $15,000 entry into the BMW family and electric vehicles. So I'm sharing, look at money differently. Look at money differently. And even living in Hawaii, I purposely bought an EV because I was aware of my carbon footprint being on an island. And it's an island. It's small. You don't have as many great lengths to drive. And I would have these like people, well, yeah, it was the second year of production. And I didn't save anything. Here's the thing. That's also with marketing. I didn't save because I didn't buy it. When someone says you saved X amount, you didn't purchase it. So it wasn't that you paid anything. That's a marketing thing. But it was my barrier of entry to the EV and to the BMW family, which I really enjoy their service. And I had shared about when I did have an issue with my car and the dealership wasn't able to help me. I went all the way up and wrote a lovely letter. My dad taught me that. He used to write letters to the head of BMW, which is innovation, the electric wing of BMW. And they said, we'll pick up 80% of the cost or 60%, something like that. So from that, they have a customer for an extended amount of time. And I'm sharing all of this because often what you think is expensive is just your level of what you see as expensive. You don't actually know the price. And expensive is individual to everything. I am expensive. I will say that. I don't like cheap. I don't even like using the word cheap. I don't like anything about cheap. However, it's more than that. It's more than that. It's more than what you pay. So I'm going to end this live. We've had an exceptional live because I want to upload my video onto YouTube. Go subscribe to my Hope is Speaking YouTube. With pleasure, Rashawn. Subscribe to me here on TikTok. I'm taking some rest, so I usually come on every day, but I haven't been on every day. I'm shifting my messages and I'm working on the events that I'm going to be speaking at. However, check me out. This is what I do, and it's fun and it's uplifting. You can check out my link in bio. I have my TED Talk. You can donate to me in any way. You can find my YouTube, Hope is Speaking. You can find all of my links. And I close all of my lives with this. Be the reflection of love because we all come from an infinite source of love. Show up. Because nothing will happen if you do not show up. You gotta show up. You gotta show up for your dream. You gotta show up for your workout. You gotta show up for Mag. Thank you for showing up. You gotta show up. Just show up. All I did was show up. And look at all the fun we had. And finally, expand your mind by taking the limit off of everything in life just because of the price. Because often the price is not the price. You can always find a different way. As I said, everywhere I've lived, I don't care what people say about how expensive it is. There's always a way to find what you want for you and make it work for you. So that's it. Make it work. I'll see you. I love you. Bye.